That's because I've been muted. So, Councillor Courtney, apparently for us to approve you being coming in online, we must be able to see you at all time, and hear you when you're
Okay,
speaking.
I can't hear anyone.
You can't hear me anymore? No? Can you hear me now? Councillor Courtney, can you hear me? No? Fun and games. What were you saying, Libby? That this? Oh, really? To fix it, how do I do that? How do I do that? Just a motion. So just a motion to adjourn the meeting while we're addressing technical issues? I think so, yeah, because it's 6 o'clock now. Okay. People are expecting live stream. Alex, there's a recommendation that we open the meeting and adjourn it to resolve the technical issues.
I've got to read them first. Apparently everyone can hear you.
Right. Thank you, Councillor Knight. A seconder. Thank you, Councillor Hall. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Wodonga Council's first ordinary council meeting of the year. I would like to invite Councillor Knight for the acknowledgement of country.
There we go. Wodonga Council acknowledges Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the first peoples of the country. We also acknowledge them as traditional owners and custodians across various lands. We pay our respects to their ancestors, elders, children and young people. We acknowledge the strength and resilience of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and recognise their continuous connections to lands, waters and communities across the country.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Agenda item 2 is apologies and requests for leave of absence and requests to attend by electronic means. We have an apology. The CEO is on leave and we have Dina Velkert, Acting CEO, and we also have Acting Director of Community and Corporate, Simone Hogg. Welcome. By electronic attendance, we have a request from Councillor Quilty. Is everyone in favour of Councillor Quilty attending electronically? All those in favour? That's carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Agenda item 3 is the Good Governance Pledge. I'd like to invite Councillor Seymour for that pledge. Thank you.
Wodonga councillors have committed to undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interest of the municipal community, abide by the Model Councillor Code of Conduct and uphold the standards of conduct set out in the Model Councillor Code of Conduct, faithfully and impartially carry out and exercise the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in the office of councillor under the Local Government Act 2020 and any other act to the best of their skill and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Seymour. Agenda item 4 is declaration by councils of any conflict of interest. Are there any?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I have a conflict at 9.3, request for councillor professional development training.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. That's noted for item 9.3, where you will leave the meeting at 9.3. Thank you. Agenda item 5 is the confirmation of minutes from the previous meeting. Could I have a mover for that? Thank you. Councillor Hall, thank you. A seconder? Councillor Aldridge. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. There's a recommendation that the minutes of the special council meeting held on February the 12th, 2025, as attached, be received and confirmed as the accurate record. Could I have a mover for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Knight. A seconder? Councillor Cowan. All those in favour? It's carried again unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 6 is question times. Officer Scully, any questions? No questions. Moving on to agenda item 7.1, request for pedestrian crossings under petitions. We have a recommendation before us. Could I have a mover for that recommendation? Councillor Hall, seconder. Councillor Seymour. Councillor Hall, would you like to speak to that at all?
Yeah, look, I'm just going to move the recommendation. It's council is to consider allocation of 50,000 in the 2025-2026 budget to undertake necessary investigative work and risk and safety assessments to ensure the best possible outcome is achieved for our pedestrian crossings. And I think in light of what's happened in the past, we've had some awful things that have happened, and I think it's a good recommendation to take forward and do some investigative work for that assessment.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Seymour, would you like to speak to it as a seconder?
I would like to thank the community for putting this up for consideration, and just agree with Councillor Hall that moving yeah, it's a good idea to move forward with the investigative work given what we've had in the past. So, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Seymour. Would any other councillors like to speak to the motion, or are we happy to put it to a vote? Put it to a vote. All those in favour? It's carried again unanimously. Thank you. Which leads us to delegates' reports. There are none. Acting CEO. Agenda item 9 is 9.1, the MAV motions for the 2025 State Council. There's a recommendation before us. Would someone like to move that as recommended? Thank you, Councillor Cowan. A seconder. Councillor Seymour. Councillor Cowan, would you like to speak to that motion?
Thank you, especially, at the MAV State Council, where we advocate for positions. There's two recommendations there, one in relation to rooming houses, and we know that councillors have been approached by members of the community in respect to concerns relating to rooming houses. That's an issue that we are taking forward. And I'd like to speak in particular to the recommendation to advocate in response to the Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund. In December last year, the state government quietly introduced this new levy. It replaces the Fire Services Property Levy. It's collected by council from ratepayers, but the new variable charge will be lifted from 8.7% to 17.3% of per 1,000 of capital improved value. And councils will collectively collect $2.1 billion more than the old fire services levy. This is an impost on council that we did not sign up for, especially when we are managing our own budgets within rate caps. I support taking this to the MAV State Council. I feel quite strongly about this, and I support the Mansfield Shire, who is also speaking particularly about the impact on rural councils, in asking the state to review this tax and the role of local government in collecting this tax. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Seymour, would you like to speak to it as the seconder? Thank you. Would any other councillors like to make a comment? Councillor Hall.
Yes, I'd like to reiterate what Councillor Cowan said. Like significantly, last year significantly we had our fire service levy rise. This impacted quite substantially on people's rates. And again, we're going through another process of collecting for the state government, which we should not be expected to do. And this will again significantly rise, put a burden onto the rates. And as Councillor Cohen said, depending on how much your property's worth is to how much you'll end up paying. And I can see this being a real nightmare, and I think there'll be a lot of complaints had in the community once this is realised and people know what's going on. So I fully support the putting this motion to the MAV, and I would consider that this motion with the MAV should get up, because I think there's a lot of councils that feel the same way. So yeah, I fully support this.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other councillors like to speak to the motion? I would also like to speak in support of this motion and congratulate Mayor Steve Raby of Mansfield for highlighting this issue. It's an issue that's particularly large with regional and rural councils, and some of those rural councils in particular that have a higher proponent of ratepayers that are primary producers, that this levy will hit even more so than your standard residential ratepayer. Thank you. If there are no other comments, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 9.2 is the Wodonga 2050 Community Vision. we have a recommendation there, or would someone like to move an alternative? Thank you, Councillor Hall.
Yes, I'd like to move an alternative motion. I've sent this around a bit late this afternoon, but it's been a difficult decision for me, and I think for many, on how we deal with this. So my motion will be, 1, Council considers the community feedback received during the public exhibition of the draft Wodonga 2050 Community Vision. 2, that the Wodonga 2050 Community Vision feedback and submissions received and referenced in attachment 922 be used to inform the development of a new Wodonga Community Vision 2050 plan, and the information gathered will be workshopped by councillors in line with the Wodonga Council's engagement policy. 3, a new Wodonga 2050 Community Vision Plan will come back up to Council for a determination before October 31st, 2025, as required by the Local Government Act 2020. 4, Wodonga Council acknowledges the work done by the deliberative panel members and thanks them for their work. 5, the Council recognises community engagement does not replace appropriate decision-making by elected representatives, but decisions can be enhanced through understanding the needs of the community and the impact of these decisions, as stated in the current Wodonga Council engagement policy. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Is there a seconder to that motion? Councillor Knight. Thank you. As a seconder. Councillor Hall, would you like to speak to the motion?
Firstly, I'd like to generally thank all those who participated and gave feedback to the Community Vision 2050 document. To those who gave up their time to be part of the deliberative panel committee, I thank you as well. Engagement both in the Wodonga Council engagement policy and Local Government Act mentions transparency. Yet the deliberative panel members were asked to sign a waiver document of non-disclosure. Personal information of the panel members, I totally agree with this being private, but the deliberative panel process, I believe, should be open and transparent, allowing all panel members the opportunity to give their views, opinions on the process and on their experience on the panel. After 2 deliberative panel members reached out to councillors, it became apparent that some panel members were not given an opportunity to voice their concerns with the deliberative panel process. Councillors were also made aware of the waiver and the clause form given to the panel members to sign. I was also told by one deliberative panel member that they were not given copies of the community feedback gathered by the council beforehand to formulate what the Vision 2050 plan would look like. Motherhead statements were provided to the panel members, but the evaluation did not include the large amount of community feedback prior to the formal discussions. And in my opinion, this is very curious, and I can't understand why that didn't happen. To be honest, there are many panel members happy with the process and the final Vision 2050 plan, but I believe all members should be given the feedback and not feel be able to give their feedback and not feel to be under considerable stress to do so because their views and experiences may differ to others. When council develops a community vision under the Local Government Act, deliberative engagement should be used. The Act is pretty broad on this and how it's done. There are no real specific mentions on the requirements to use a deliberative panel, and for deliberative engagement, this would be an individual council's decision. Although the last council may have approved of the use of a deliberative panel, there was no opportunity to plan how it was managed and implemented. Wodonga Council spent $118,000 on our engagement for the Community Vision 2050 plan. This includes consultants and payments to the panel members. I do have concern around the reasoning that 34 people are considered to be a good representative of the community of 45,000, because I believe in that is not possible. I'll leave it at that at this stage, and I'll come back with some more.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Knight, would you like to speak to it as the seconder?
Reason I'm seconding the motion is because having read through the submissions in the early process, not being part of that council in the early days, they didn't line up with what I saw in the 2050 vision that was provided to us. And as Councillor Hall said, there has been some questions about what was supplied and to the panel and the motherhood statements. So, yeah, I'd like to review it.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Quilty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I would like to foreshadow an alternative motion should Councillor Hall's motion not get up. And I would also like to suggest suspending standing orders, as I feel we need a good public debate on this sensitive issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Courty, for shadowing an alternative motion, but also suggesting that we suspend standing orders. Could I have a mover for suspending standing orders? Sorry. Councillor Courty, I'm taking you as the mover. All those in favour?
Yes.
That is carried unanimously. So suspending standing orders for council. Thank you. Would any council like to speak to the motion put by Councillor Hall? Thank you. Councillor Seymour. Would any other council like to speak to the motion put by Councillor Hall? Councillor Quilty, thank you.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, councillors, and anybody watching this meeting or attending this meeting in the gallery for putting up with me by electronic means. I have a really bad back injury, so it's much easier for me to participate from home. I also recognize that it's a bit hard to have suspended standing orders while one of the councillors is online, so thank you very much for indulging me. I believe that the motion Councillor Hall has put up reflects our many discussions amongst each other and with the community members and the contacts that we have had from various members of the deliberative panels. Not all the members of the deliberative panels are satisfied with the experience, and they quite correctly let us know. And some members are satisfied with the experience, and they also have correctly let us know. I would like to thank all the submitters who have given us their feedback during the consultation with the community when we displayed the draft community vision in the last few weeks. We had a very good, detailed and constructive feedback. And I think what Councillor Hall is proposing is going to be able to enable us to take all of the feedback into consideration. We had very extensive community consultations at the initial stages, for example, stage 2, when workshops were held, community meetings were held, community members were contacted via various means, and we had pages and pages and pages of community feedback prior to deliberative panel. Obviously, the panel has done a lot of work, and the members of the community diligently read the outcome of those deliberations and provided their feedback, which was really diverse and offered a lot of varying opinions on various sides of the spectrum. So I think what Councillor Hall is suggesting will enable us to really diligently review all feedback at all stages and make sure no member of our community is left out of the process, those who have given their feedback. To tell you the truth, my foreshadowed motion is a little bit different, but the essence of what I was going to suggest, I believe, is preserved in what Councillor Hall is suggesting. Councillor Hall was also making a reference to our community engagement policy. I was also going to make a reference to the community engagement policy, in particular to the point where it says, in making a decision, the council takes all opinions into consideration, often from different viewpoints, while weighing up a range of factors. So I think the motion in front of us, put up by Councillor Hall and seconded by Councillor Knight, will allow us to do exactly this as per our policy. So yes, I will be supporting it for the time being. I'm happy to hear from other councillors what they think and why they will or will not, especially will not be supporting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Any other councillors would like to speak to the motion? Thank you, Councillor Cowan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to thank the people of Wodonga for their time and energy that they gave to the process. Their thoughts, ideas, words and aspirations for Wodonga really came through, whether that was a community conversation or a kitchen table conversation, whether it was a written submission or whether you were part of a deliberative panel as a member. I think the body of work we have is significant, and I highly value that body of work, not only for the collective reporting but for the diversity of views. I won't be supporting Councillor Hall's motion tonight. However, I do acknowledge that the community feedback is not always aligned and that there have been many valid differences. But I truly believe that it is the sum of the parts that makes this vision, and that the previous feedback reports were very important in helping to guide the council and will help to guide us in our future planning and in our priorities. So I want to acknowledge that not all members of the community endorse the process, and I respect that. But I do believe that the reports across all stages respect your feedback and respect the diversity of views. And again, I acknowledge that submissions were made in the final stage, which has proven to be an important stage in the feedback process, particularly with respect to financial responsibility. And I think that's a key objective of mine. So I know we can learn from this. I think particularly the timing, going back to September 2023, has been particularly challenging for this new council to have much impact on. I think that's been problematic. However, I am enthusiastic about building upon this body of work. I am enthusiastic about this community vision, and I think it serves us well for guiding the next stages of our council planning processes. Again, I want to thank the people of Wodonga and particularly those who came forward and spent time with me to explain their views. However, I won't be supporting Councillor Hall's motion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Thank you, Councillor Seymour.
Thank you. I suppose just for transparency and discussion, because we've got this open floor, I'm leaning towards not supporting Councillor Hall's motion. I just want to also thank the community for all of their feedback and input, and I also agree that there are people that feel like the process, that they're unhappy with the process. My concern with the motion is that the timing and the cost, and cost is a large part of people's, what they hold really important. Going through I feel like it's going to go through the whole process again, and while we have to adopt a community vision, local government state that we have to adopt it. I just want to draw the attention to the document as just informing and helping inform the vision. It's not there to inform the plan, sorry, and it doesn't negate other people's input in those other stages and from what we've heard outside of that. So all of the engagement that we've had since then is also there to inform the vision, the plan. So, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Seymour. Councillor Hall?
I'm not suggesting there'll be any real big cost involved in what I was putting forward. It was more about reprocessing the submissions and the feedback and evaluating the last part, the last stage, and that was the deliberative panel's document that was received. So about money, I don't believe that would be the case. Also, adopting a document like this will inform everything council does, that being via what councillors decide in decision, be that the council plan, strategic work, whatever, but also under the delegation by staff. So where it doesn't come back to councillors to have any input in when it's done under delegation. Also too, it states in the community engagement policy to which I was referring, councillors have a responsibility, and we have a responsibility to balance the range of stakeholders' views and concerns on issues when making decisions. So we would be working with the engagement policy and not to our own agenda. It would have to balance the range of views and submissions and feedback that we received. The Act does not prescribe to have a deliberative panel process, and there is a process that we have to, with a community vision, there would be a process of deliberative engagement, but that can cover many different aspects of engagement with the community, and doesn't necessarily have to, as I said, have a panel, and all that information could be brought to councillors irregardless of having a panel. So that's still deliberative engagement. I also note that other councils have adopted community panels or citizens panels as a way forward with engaging in a deliberative process with their community, and some have found them very expensive and believe that councillors are the elected representative to make those final decisions. So it depends where you sit on that. I just can't support what I believe was a problematic process at the end, and I don't think it gives credit to the whole of the engagement process that our council took. And so I just thought it gave us another opportunity to have a better look at it and to better represent the people that felt that they weren't heard. So,
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any Councillor Quilty?
Yes, if that's okay, we have suspended standing orders, and while I have spoken already, I will take the advantage of the suspended standing orders to reiterate again that Councillor Hall has made some very good points. It's the approach that she has suggested will allow us, we are in no way, shape or form ignoring or dismissing the work done by the deliberative panel. It was a commitment, a big commitment by the participants, and I would like to extend my gratitude to the participants. The process that was followed during the a panel through no fault of the participants was seem to be dissatisfactory to some, not all members. And I think it's important to take this bit into consideration, but the thoughts and ideas and the time and the value added by all the participants should really serve as a good service. And I believe that treating the work by the panel, the work that was done by all the submitters of the feedback, either in earlier stages or by those who have received the draft. It is very important for us to really have a good look at it. And workshopping, I wasn't going to, honestly, I have quickly put together an alternative motion, and it doesn't have a workshop by councillors, but I think it is a good idea. It will allow us the opportunity to have a good look again at the feedback provided by all community members, at the work done by the deliberative panel, at the work done by submitters at the final stage. And it is no cost involved. What is involved is extra time and sacrifice by councillors who will have to find time in their busy schedules to do this workshop one more day or half a day. I know it's hard. I myself have a young family and full-time work, just like some other councillors, and it will be difficult and time-consuming to run through this workshop, but it is going to be one of the most valuable pieces of work that we do this year or possibly this term, and I am speaking for myself, prepared to make this sacrifice. This is what we're here for. And thank you, Councillor Hall, and thank you, other councillors, for making your points clear. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Any other councillors would like to make comment? If not, I've just got a question of the acting CEO in the context of operational financial implications or unintended consequences of Councillor Hall's motion, if adopted. Acting CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whilst I appreciate the discussion to date, I'd like to raise some significant operational financial risks of not adopting the community vision at this time. Council have spent significant resources and time and delivered the strategic engagement plan that was previously adopted. The vision reflects a significant amount of feedback from the community received over an 18-month community engagement exercise. Council does not have the resources to continue to redevelop a community vision along with other strategic documents that are currently being developed. Further delay will seriously hinder the development of the council plan and other strategic documents such as the budget, which is due by June this year, as well as the long-term financial plan and the asset plan. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Acting CEO. Councillor Hall, a right of reply.
Just a question. It states in the Local Government Act that day doesn't have to be developed until, till October. I don't believe that would make much difference whatsoever. I mean, a lot of the stuff that is in the plan or in the proposed adopted plan that was put before us is feedback that you can still use. It's not, it doesn't have to align with the necessary plan as such as yet, but the feedback can be used. And I find it very similar to others. So,
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Acting CEO, did you want to respond or not?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much, Councillor Hall, for your feedback. In relation to the development of the community vision, it is an important piece of what goes into the council plan and the development of the budget. So whilst we could use the feedback, it also provides, I guess, the holistic view of what the community vision is and provides themes and pillars in relation to the council plan.
So themes and pillars. For instance, I says adopt renewable energy. Is that to come back into our budget? So where does this all fit? and I will make a point with the renewable energy because it does state in the that the council adopt renewable energy. Yet, if you look at the state government, I've just got it here, regarding gas will be part of our mix of energy use for many, many years to come. So to not include other energy uses in that part of the document pillar, I find is pretty curious because it's part of the federal government and state government policy to continue to use gas. And gas doesn't fit in with the renewable adoption. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it back and have a councillors go over it, because it doesn't line up with some of those issues. There's other ones too. Just trying to find it. Got too many pieces of paper. Yeah, I've got too many pieces of paper here. That's the problem. Yeah, I'll find it. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. But that's why I think there's some discrepancies in that actual plan that should be highlighted. Yeah, here. Guiding principles for Australia Gas. Gas must remain affordable for Australian users throughout the transition. To net zero, a future made in Australia. Our competitive advantage is abundant resources and continued gas development for more flexible gas infrastructure is needed to increase our resilience. So they're talking about Australia's committed to supporting global emissions, reduce climate change, and will reach net zero by 2050. Gas production and use must be optimised through the transition, and residual use must be abated to offset. If we don't have gas, we don't have a reliable source of energy going forward, and so that's a fault that I did find in the document. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Aldridge, then Councillor Cowan.
I'm happy for Councillor Cowan to speak first if it's relating directly to Councillor Hall's statement.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Yes, and while Councillor Hall and I share similar concerns about some of the feedback, one of those is not about renewable energy, I have to say. As of July 2021, all of Council's electricity requirements have been powered by 100% renewables. That's on the council website. That's part of the 46 Victorian councils have signed up to the VECO, Victorian Energy Collaboration. So I think in pointing out this particular issue relating to renewables, it highlights the concern that I have about delving into the vision in a way that we are some way arbitrary about the information that's been brought to us. We welcomed people's ideas, thoughts, visions, aspirations for our future, and some of them may not, I may not feel comfortable about, but I'm not judging them in any way. And I think it's really important that we don't do that, that we do respect what has come to us. And so, you know, unfortunately, I think the example that was raised is probably one that highlights the fact we should accept this vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Aldridge.
Thank you. I wasn't planning on speaking on this motion, but I think there's just a couple of things that I'd like to add. And first of all, like everyone, I do want to acknowledge that not everybody was in the deliberative panel was happy with the process, and I really do feel like Council can learn a lot from this in the way that moving forward we run these deliberative panels. For the time, resources and potential costs that could come of dragging this out any longer, I just wonder if anything in the document would actually change significantly. The document is strong. I think it's fantastic. I think it's inspiring, very future thinking. And we do need to acknowledge the fact that the majority of people in that deliberative panel were very happy with the document. I fear they don't have a voice here at the moment. All we're hearing about is the people that were unhappy with the process. There was a lot of people that were really happy with the process. So yeah, just by delaying this, is anything in the document significantly going to change? I don't think it will. I think we're better off accepting the document for what it is and learn from the process, the mistakes that were made along the way, so we can be better next time.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Knight.
Just going on to the sustainable energy, and I use the word sustainable, not renewable. There is nobody who is 100% renewable unless they are off-grid. Energy does not know where to turn off and what street number is paying for 100%. It goes to the nearest place. I think Canberra said they ran on 100% renewables. They got some from South Australia, some from Queensland, some from down here in Victoria, and it doesn't. It all comes from the nearest power station. There are green energies and renewable energies, and they're a great system, but at this point in time, they're not sustainable or reliable enough. And I'll use the Barranduda BESS that's just been put out, 144,000 homes. It's going to be 4 hours, which is great for Wodonga if it comes to Wodonga or if it's been sent down the line to somebody else. So I think, and going to Councillor Aldridge's point of with the document change, yes, there's a big difference between renewables and sustainable. There's a big difference in the wording. There's a lot of those wording that's very ambiguous and can lead us down a path. This is a document that's meant to inform and help, not direct us. Yet one of the statements from one of the participants was, that's on page 5 of the vision, we would also like to monitor the progress of this strategy and see that the council is fulfilling its agreement in implementing the strategy. So they believe, these people that did the deliberative panel, and I appreciate what they've done, have been told that this strategy will be implemented as it's stated. And I don't think that is correct. It is meant to help us and guide us and give us an idea, but it's not necessarily going to be the one point that we have to stick to. That's the council plan and the budget. I believe that what Councillor Hall is asking us to do is one day to workshop a few of the words, and it may not change the document a lot, but I believe it's a better option than agreeing to this document in the format that we would be, that's been recommended in the alternative motions that are here.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Hall.
Yeah, just one more thing to add to Councillor Knight's comment. I read through about 70 pages, I think. I know it was a lot of pages of the feedback. And there was a lot of talk about the environment, which I am a huge supporter of our environment, you know, and always have been. But there would be very, 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 I can't even give you how many there were, but there was very few that mentioned renewables. So how did this end up as one of, you know, a main point in one of the pillars? You know, that's one of the reasons why I want to go back. The council should go back through it and familiarise themselves with the feedback, and also take into account what the deliberative panel have put forward, and do a workshop on just reassessing some of it so it sort of fits better with what I believe our community would want going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. You know, this is a really difficult one. A large part of me absolutely sits with Councillor Seymour in that this document, this vision document's there to inform or shape, but not determine our council plan. And notwithstanding your comments, Councillor Hall, about state policy regarding gas, again, it's something that this vision's there to inform us in the context of a whole lot of different inputs. But at the same time, I feel there's a need for this council to stand behind a community vision, and I'm, sensing a lot of discomfort regarding that at a council level. So that is difficult. Councillor Hall, did you want to any final comments before potentially going to reinstate standing orders?
Just one comment that we got an email from one of the deliberative panel members this morning, and he was asking us. He'd sent us a submission last year, and during the process, the feedback process, and he was saying that when he was on the panel, you weren't allowed to mention fossil fuel. That was a non. You weren't allowed to mention the hospital. That was a non too. You weren't allowed to mention nuclear. So how can this be? How can this be a transparent and fair process? And yet councils are expected to adopt something that, okay, there were a lot that thought that the process was fine, and maybe that was because all of their views were getting listed or taken to account, but others weren't. And I just think that, and not even be able to present to council, which was a real concern to me. If someone has a negative view, I want to hear that as well. I don't want to just hear all the happy chappy stuff, which is basically, you look at the vision document and it has little snapshots of what comments and people's, were thought of the deliberative panel process, and it's all lovely and lovely, but you don't have the ones that gave up a negative feeling towards it. And so my idea is just, I think we needed to just revisit it and review it and try and address things, inconsistencies in the vision. As I said, around that renewable bit, there is inconsistencies there, and I don't particularly want to adopt something that doesn't really, in a way, conform with what state and federal government, of course they're pushing for renewable, but we need to realise we need reliable, sustainable energy. That is the probably main focus that we should be looking at. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other comments? Councillor Aldridge?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question to Councillor Hall. You talked about the document not including any negatives. I'm just confused as to why we would put negatives into a community vision. So could you please elaborate on what you mean, or perhaps give an example?
Not negatives, but another point of, like, we had that, and they're all nice comments, but there were other comments, and, that should be equally as representative. So, why should their comment not be put up?
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Seymour, and maybe we can wrap it up. Thank you.
My apologies that this is taking a long time, but I just want to make sure that I'm understanding and I've got the right, relevant information before I make my final decision. Councillor Hall, you asked a question, or you made a comment about being able to take the information that we already have in this vision document into budget decisions. And then Acting CEO, you mentioned about cost and things like that. I'm wondering if we can use the views of the community that are in that document already as it is, going into those documents that we need to have made decisions by June and October. Are we able to do that?
We have an existing document.
Thank you, Councillor Seymour. So probably the best way to describe it is the vision will capture the key themes from divergent views. So we're respecting those divergent views and also filtering them up to the most strategic aspirational themes. It provides a framework that will help inform the council plan. In regards to the resource impost, there's likely to still be a process of additional design. We'll have to go out for community exhibition, consolidation and completion. So it's not as simple as just doing a workshop. Yes, you could use that feedback, but it's kind of like the starting point for the development of those documents. And if you look at it from a technical point of view, the budget needs to refer to the strategic objectives and the initiatives which come from the council plan, which are also then informed by the community vision.
Councillor Knight.
Sorry, last one. We have a vision for 2033, so it's not like we have to have this done. We have a vision, we meet the criteria, we can do all the plans and everything else. It exists. Yes, we've got this document now and we've spent a lot of money on it, but at the end of the day, we're not obligated to take it.
Are there any other comments? And if not, I'm going to ask that someone move that we reinstate standing orders. That's a move. Sorry? Oh, sorry, Councillor Cowan.
Beg your pardon, thank you. My final comment is really around respect for the participants in a process while we are all identifying shortcomings and misgivings with. I think it's disrespectful, quite frankly, to our wider community to keep making this up as we're going along. And I know we may not like the result that some of us may not be fully embracing the result that we have now, but I think we have to pay respect to the process. We have to learn from it. I think we have to, I feel that we have to acknowledge the work that has been done and accept this report. Thank you.
I just want to reply to.
Me too.
We have a current vision, as Councillor Knight said, a vision 2033, I think. That's been changed twice. So, and that, I think that was changed by the councillors themselves through the process. It's no different than getting a council plan and we put it together and it goes out to the public. We've done that with the council vision. It went out for feedback, it's come back, and and like a budget, we have the opportunity to change the budget once we get feedback. So it's not like it's locked in. It's a document that informs, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to take one stage or element of it and adopt that whole vision based on that one stage.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Quilty.
I would like to thank all the councillors for the debate and thank you, Councillor Cowan, for your latest comment. I would like to make it clear that when I cast my vote, it will not be out of respect or disrespect for the community. I, in my mind, do not equate respect for the process to respect of the community. I admittedly have more respect for results usually than the process. The process to me is secondary to the outcomes, long-term outcomes for the city. So while I think all the comments are really relevant and helpful in reaching the final decision, I would like to make it clear that for myself and some other councillors, respect or disrespect for the process will have nothing to do with satisfaction of the results or respect and gratitude to the community who participated in the process. Processes are designed by people outside of this council sometimes. There are lots of processes out there. They're catering to achieve different results, and even what we might think, what we might accept as a gold standard process may not satisfy us when we see the outcomes. So please be assured that when I cast my vote, it will not be out of disrespect or respect or the fact that I like the results. Process is a process. It's a journey. Results are my apologies. Results are our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Coulty. If there are no more councillor comments, could I have a mover for reinstating suspending orders? Councillor Knight. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. So we have a motion before us, also with a foreshadowed motion, but I think given the discussion we've had, we're comfortable now putting that to a vote. Councillor Hall's motion, all those in favour? Those against, sorry, that's Councillor Hall, Councillor Knight, Councillor Quilty. All those against? Councillor Seymour, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Cowan, Councillor Goebel. That unfortunately has failed. Councillor Hall, we have a foreshadowed motion. Councillor Quilty, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, please. So my motion, apologize for it coming through late, and apologies if there are any errors. I emailed it to everybody just a few minutes ago. It's kind of a brief combo of what I had in my mind for a motion, the bits that I liked from Councillor Hall's motion and the bits that we had from our briefing discussions. So the motion goes, number one, Council considers the community feedback received during the public exhibition of the draft Wodonga 2050 Community Vision. 2. Council adopts as equal components of the Wodonga 2050 Community Vision all community feedback collected during Wodonga 2050 Community Vision engagement process as reflected or referenced in attachment 922, including A, stages 2 to 4 feedback reports, B, the feedback received during draft Wodonga 2050 Community Vision public exhibition. And number 3, Council treats all of the above in line with the current community engagement policy, stating the following. A, in making a decision, the Council takes all opinions into consideration, often from differing viewpoints, while weighing up a range of factors. B, community engagement is not the sole determinant in a decision-making process. There are many other stakeholders and factors that need to be taken into consideration. These include existing policies and strategies, other levels of government, legislation, and budget. C, the Council recognizes community engagement does not replace appropriate decision-making by elected representatives, but decisions can be enhanced through understanding the needs of the community and the impact of these decisions.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Could I have a seconder for that? Councillor Knight. Oh, sorry, is it a seconder or a question? Sorry.
I'll second, but I just wanted to ask a question. So, Councillor Quilty, is that also to adopt the attachment 9.22 as well?
Yes, attachment 9.22 as it is. Attachment 9.22 includes the document produced as a result of the deliberative panel with the corrections made. It includes, this attachment 9.22 includes the feedback to the that were received during the community consultation on the draft community vision document. and also it references a number of documents, and Councillor Hall actually referenced them in her previous discussion, references the 70 odd pages of community feedback that was given to us in the initial stages of the engagement of the community vision collection process.
So we have a mover and we have a seconder, Councillor Knight. Councillor Courtie, would you like to speak to the motion? Thank you.
Given how much I have spoken already and how I don't want this meeting last forever because of my back troubles, I will try to be really brief. I supported the motion by Councillor Hall because I thought it reflected my wish to include all community feedback. It is important to reassure the community that the council, when taking the community vision into consideration in all its strategic work, will use not just the priorities picked during the deliberative panel, but the feedback given to us by each and every community member that took time to participate in this process. And we will also take the pay proper attention to the submissions, which I think very valuable, given us by community when they were able to see the end result of our work. So my intent is really to treat, not to treat one document, which is the outcome of the panel, as a single document, but put the all the stages of feedback that we have received on the equal platform and give them the equal importance in the. I haven't been brief, have I? In all our processes and decisions.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Courtie. That's
very passionate.
That's very clear. But I'm going to go first to Councillor Knight as the seconder to speak to, then Councillor Aldridge and Councillor Cowan. Thank you.
I'm happy to second this because it does reflect the feedback from the earlier submissions, which I felt was missing in the main document of 9.22. So I'd be happy to support that and adopt the Wodonga 2050 community vision with the submissions from the whole of the community.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Aldridge and then Councillor Cowan.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty, for the alternate motion. I just want to confirm, perhaps from Madam Acting CEO and perhaps Officer Gillison, if what Councillor Quilty is proposing is logistically possible.
Acting CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll pass this over to Kylie Gillison. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. There's still significant work there, but if that is the, if that will ensure that we have a vision that informs the plan, that's possible.
Thank you, Officer Gilson. Councillor Cowan.
Okay. I'd like to foreshadow an alternate motion should this one not get up. I understand, Councillor Quilty, the intent of your motion, and I respect the feedback provided in those stages. I think that was very informative, and I will continue to use it as a resource. However, I think it does it does take away from the vision, in a sense, that it doesn't provide us with those higher level strategic statements under those pillars that we look for in a vision document. I think it does inform us as councillors when we're making our decisions going forward with our council plan and our budget. However, I'm very keen to maintain the integrity of the vision document as it currently stands.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Any other comments from Councillor Seymour?
It's a question, I'm not sure where to direct it, maybe to Kylie. If we include the other feedback as documents within the document, my understanding is the budget and everything are looking for the pillars. They won't be looking through the feedback.
That's correct, councillor, yes.
Councillor Cordy.
May I offer an answer to Councillor Seymour's question from my point of view? When the councillors are looking at the budget and other strategic documents, such as councillor plan, to name but a few, it will be the councillors looking at pillars, feedback, their own encounters with the community, and everything else. Hence my wish to put all the feedback and draw the attention of the councillors to feedback from all the community. Our community is very diverse, has diverse views, and I think when making strategic decisions, us councillors need to look not just at the high-level statements, but at all the components of community feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cordy. Any other comments from councillors? Councillor Hall.
As it states in the Act, transparency is the key to effective process. I believe transparency in the engagement process was problematic. If not, you could go, that's being kind at the end process. And that in itself is an issue. And I don't believe we have, as a council, effectively been transparent if we support that Vision 2050 document, because the final stage was definitely not a transparent process.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. I'm going to ask Councillor Cordy in terms of right of reply. Any response? Or are we happy then putting it to a vote, the motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for this opportunity. I have already, I have had the opportunity to answer the question and concern raised by each councillor during this debate. I thank my colleagues for voicing their concerns and giving their opinions. I reiterate that I believe my motion gives us the opportunity to equally treat and consider the views of our future coming from all members of our community. Like I said, our community is diverse. It has diverse walks of life, diverse political opinions, diverse life experiences, and it is really a treasure to us councillors. High strategic statements do save us time and do indicate that we have followed a process which has allowed us to achieve them. It does not give us the look into the large beating heart of our community, the things that keep members of our community up at night. It is the opportunity for us to really embrace, yes, 70 pages is probably a lot to read, but we would have read them already during these weeks coming up to the meeting. And really putting feedback from all community members who choose to participate, big or small, is very valuable to us. We have 40,000 people we are responsible to for the rates they pay us, for the choices we make for them and on their behalf, the representation that we have to do every day. And this representation, in my view, is simply not possible based on high-value strategic statements. They are, high-value strategic statements are very helpful for including in some strategic documents. But even if my motion doesn't get up, I encourage respectfully each council to look down at what stands behind every statement and what stands against every statement. And I believe it would be unfair to community members, even if they are not in the majority. But really, I haven't seen the figures, and I believe the general perception, the figures are roughly would be roughly equal for and against. I think my approach really unites our community vision. It is a community vision after all. It is how we all want to live together, what kind of city we all want to live together going forward to 2050. And I would encourage councillors to really give our community the opportunity to be treated on equal platform, not just a part of the product, a part of the outcome of these deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Courty, for your right of reply. I'm going to put the foreshadowed motion to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Knight, Councillor Seymour, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Hall, Councillor Goebel. All those against? Councillor Cowan. That's carried. Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone's perseverance with that item. We now move on to item 9.3, which was a request for council professional development training. And Councillor Cowan, you've declared a conflict of interest. I will invite you back on the conclusion of the matter. Thank you. Councillor Cowan, if you could just disclose the nature of your conflict.
It's a material conflict and it relates to seeking approval for my application to attend a convention. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. We'll just wait for you to exit. Thank you, councillors. We have a recommendation before us. Would someone like to move as per a motion as per recommended? Councillor Aldridge, do you have a seconder? Councillor Knight, Councillor Aldridge, would you like to speak to this?
Councillor Cowan has requested to attend as a representative of Wodonga Council to the Victorian Convention of Councillors run by MAV. Councillor Cowan has made an application for a scholarship to attend the convention with a value of up to $3,000, which will offset most of the costs for attendance, travel and sustenance. So I'm assuming food and what have you. I think it's fantastic that we can have a representative from our council attend, and I support Michelle's attendance and council covering the costs in the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Knight.
Sorry, yeah. So going back to our 9.1, where we got the representation to MAV, so I think it's a great opportunity for Councillor Cowan to go down there and do the due diligence as well and carry it through, advocate for us at the MAV Council Convention.
I'm hearing a two for the price of one, a bit of a training and advocacy. Killing two birds with one stone, that's good. Thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Courty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to commend Councillor Cowan for being proactive, for seeking their attendance at this forum. I think it will, I hope it will give more weight to our points and submissions and increase our representation in the forum. Councillor Cowan has been proactive in seeking and winning the scholarship, which takes the burden of the cost from Wodonga City Council and allows us to still have representation on the panel. I think it's great. I think it's good that councillors are proactive and seek out opportunities. And I wish Councillor Cowan all the best during this panel, and hopefully it will increase, her presence will increase our chances of achieving what we want to achieve with MAV. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty, and I note the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Cowan, as a delegate with myself at the MAV conference in May to advocate strongly for those two motions. Councillor Hall, would you like to speak to the motion too? Thank you.
Just clarification, this isn't about representation with MAV, it's about a training course. So just clarification to people
My
listening.
apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, but still.
Thank you for that clarification. It is very much a training course over a weekend. Maybe, yeah. Any other comments? If not, could I put that to a vote? All those in favour? Councillor Hall, Councillor Knight, Seymour, Aldridge, Goebel. That's carried unanimously. If we could invite Councillor Cowan back in, thank you. Thank you, councillors. Item 9.4, Tourism Partnership Agreement with Albury City to 2025-2029. We do have a recommendation there before us. So do I have a mover as per the recommendation? Councillor Knight, a seconder to the motion, Councillor Seymour. To you, Councillor Knight, would you like to speak to the motion?
So the option 2, the Tourism Partnership Agreement with Albury City be approved for a 4-year extension from 2025 to 2026, 2029, 2030 to the value of $220,000 excluding GST in year 1 and CPI percentages increase annually for the further 3 years of the agreement. This ensures that both councils optimise tourism resources and communicate with industry and visitors, audiences with one voice. I believe that's been working really well in the past. I think everyone talks of Albury Wodonga, not just Wodonga, not just Albury. So I think it's a benefit for us and it does save us significantly in costs as well.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Seymour is the seconder.
Yeah, I just want to concur with Councillor Knight. It has been working really well. Albury Wodonga is a beautiful spot, and I think as part of being fiscally responsible, that has been working really well and to continue the way we're going.
Thank you, Councillor Seymour. Any other councillors? Councillor Hall and then Councillor Cowan.
I'm not going to add too much, but the fact is, if we probably had to go out on our own and do it, we probably can have to employ full-time staff, and there would be higher costs involved in going forward. So I think option 2 is the best option for us. We just need to make sure that we get a fair deal with this agreement, and so we'll have to keep an eye on how that progresses. So yes, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Cowan.
Thank you. And I'd just like to add that this is in line with the 2024 to 2028 Albury Wodonga Destination Management Plan and really goes with the spirit of the two cities, one community, in that we can deliver a professional product with and optimise our budget at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Any other comments for councillors? If not, I'll put that to a vote. All those, would you like to write a reply at all? No? If not, all those in favour? Councillor Hall, Councillor Cowan, Councillor Seymour, Aldridge, Councillor Knight and Councillor Goebel. That's unanimous. Sorry. Item 9.5 is Finance and Budget Delegated Committee, minutes of the meeting, and they're in a document online. Do I have a mover as recommended? Thank you, Councillor Knight, owning the floor tonight. Seconder? Councillor Aldridge, do you want to speak to that or not? Just no, put it to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Quilty, Councillor Hall, Councillor... That's unanimous, thank you. Oh, we? Oh, okay. Sorry for jumping the gun there, Councillor Hall. Item 9.6, and I'm very tempted to declare a conflict here, but I won't. Mayor robe and chain policy. There's a recommendation there. Do we have a mover? 9.6, the mayoral robe. Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Seconder, Councillor Seymour. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Cowan?
The policy gives discretion to the current mayor as to whether they'll wear the mayoral robe and the chain. And as you can see, our current mayor chooses not to. Nonetheless, in keeping with tradition, we are maintaining that in a secure place, and the next mayor may choose to don the robe and the chain. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Seymour? No comment. Councillor Hall?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that the mayoral robe and chain does have some monetary value, so and it's quite considerable considering what it is. But also historically, it's great to have it there. I think we should have a policy that protects it and looks after it, but gives the opportunity for the mayor of the day to be able to wear the chains if choose to be for any particular occasion or event. So I think it's good to have the mayoral chain policy. So I'll be supporting it.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other councillor comments? Councillor Aldridge, thank you.
I would just like to have a commitment from the mayor that we will, during his term, see him wear at least the chains at some stage.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. I'm not seeing how that's relevant to this policy adoption, but maybe one day. Councillor Quilty.
No, I just waved my hand, but look, I don't know. I would love to see the mayor wear the robe and the chain. I'm just not certain whether the robe will survive a dry cleaning. So it's possibly a better way to keep this artifact, just like some of us keep our wedding dresses in the cupboard, and no matter whether we can fit or not anymore. The chain has considerable value, and hopefully we will, as a council, will always be fiscally responsible, and we will never be reduced to having to take it to the pawn shop to bail our city out. Yeah. So yeah, the policy is fine. I'm happy to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty, and Councillor Aldridge. To humour you, I will one time. Thank you. If there are no other comments, if I could put that to a vote. So all those in favour of adopting the policy, Councillor Quilty, Hall, Cowan, Knight, Seymour, Aldridge and Goebel. Thank you, that's unanimous. Agenda item 9.7, Councillor Gifts, Benefits and Hospital Policy. We have a recommendation there before us. Would someone like to move as per the recommendation? Someone other than Councillor Knight, maybe? Councillor Hall, and as seconder, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Hall, would you like to speak to this policy? Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, Yeah, I'm just going to support the motion that's in the report. I'm just trying to find it now. I'm all over the place. Yeah, look, this is just a bit of housekeeping in a way. When we have a new council, we have to go through a lot of our policies. I had a look at if there's any changes. It's very minor, the changes in the policy. And so I don't have any issues with supporting what's put before us. It's something that has to be done, and there's just some little tidy up pieces with it that have been needed to changed before it's come back for adoption. So yes.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Cowan? Nothing to add, thank you. Any other councillor comments? If not, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? Oh, sorry. Councillor Aldridge, sorry.
That's okay, just a minor thing, and it's something that I'm happy to vote for today, but something that perhaps a future council meeting can consider is inflation, essentially. A gift at the moment has a value up to $30, which to me is quite low in the scheme of things. So perhaps in the future, council could look at upping that to maybe $50.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Hall, did you want to respond?
No, I don't have an issue with that. It's something we could actually change tonight if you wanted to put up if this didn't get up and we'd do an alternate motion.
Is there a desire amongst councillors to make that change tonight? I'm happy to put forward that amendment. If there is a desire amongst councillors to have a discussion or amend that tonight, I'm happy to change the motion. Otherwise, I'm happy to pass as per we were going to do.
As I'm the mover, I'm happy to make the amendment to that policy. So I just need someone to second that amendment.
Councillor Cowan is the seconder.
Oh, sorry.
So we have a proposal from Councillor Aldridge to adopt for the motion that the Council's gifts, benefits and hospital policy attachment 9.7.1 be adopted, but with the change that the gift component, what's the reference to the gifts under $30? Yes, and that be amended from $30 to $50.
Or whatever number of people are comfortable with. I just think 50s. I'm assuming when this was written, it was a few years ago, and you can't get much for $30 now.
Is there support? Anyone want to comment to this motion? Councillor Knight, you're looking like you. Councillor Knight?
We do realise that that's putting the gift that you can receive up to $50, so that someone's giving you something other than cash, so it's buying you lunch or something like that. So I just think the perception from the community would be that we're increasing perks for councillors, and I just don't think it's a good look. I think it should just stay at the $30 and just remain there.
So Councillor Knight, yes, we're referring to the token gifts threshold. So I'm hearing not a support there. Any other councillor comments? Councillor Quilty.
Look, it's not a big deal, but I'm really in two minds about it. It is for a councillor, it doesn't matter if the token gift limit stays at $30. I don't think councillors should ever accept anything more than a cup of coffee if they are invited out to a quick meeting over a coffee cup. And even then, with the council allowance of $37, we can probably afford to buy somebody a cup of coffee every once in a while. But I understand it makes it difficult for councillors, especially for mayor and deputy mayor who attend official events, if they are presented with a flash notebook or a bottle of wine. It's not always appropriate to politely decline. Sometimes the logistics just don't allow the opportunity to politely decline a gift. And it is true sometimes you get given something that might have the market value of more than $30. It is. I hope the community do not take it as a suggestion to start giving councillors gifts of $50. Please don't do that. As myself is concerned, I'm really embarrassed even when somebody offers to buy me a coffee or something. But to avoid the situation where a mayor attends an event and is given a bottle of wine and a fancy notebook and a pen, and the combined value of that comes to more than $50, and then the mayor has to chase and find the person to return this gift to. It's probably a little bit embarrassing. So yeah, I think $50 is fine, but I would like to express my hope that this limit will be, and this policy will be used on very rare occasions, and that people will understand that government employees at every level always feel a bit awkward about having to receive or decline gifts. That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Councillor Hall?
Look, it's not very often that this happens, and I don't see a problem with raising it to the extra $20 because it happens so infrequently, and I'm happy with the 50.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Seymour, did you have a...
Yeah, the explanation that Councillor Quilty gives, and it happens very rare, I'm more than happy to raise it to $50.
As someone who has been the recipient of an uninvited token gift, it does create a bit of a dilemma, particularly when the gift's provided in public, and certainly with no expectation from me in terms of receipt of a gift, but also the judgment around, well, what's the value of the gift? Is it $30? Is it $35? I think it removes some of that element. But notwithstanding, my practice is always to disclose anything given to me, irrespective of the value, to our governance officer, Scully.
And if it's a bottle of wine, partaken by all council.
Are there any other comments? Councillor Knight.
So section 3.14, if a councillor or staff member receives a number of token gifts that are below the nominal value individually, but in total are above its disclosure is required, refer to clause 3.7. The policy requires that you record an accumulation of token gifts received from the same source over a 12-month period that add up to more than $30. So that would need to be changed as well.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. So you're referencing that any reference to token gifts where it refers to $30 be substituted to $50. Yep. Do we all agree with that? If there are no other comments, can I put that, perhaps just to be clear, read the recommendation that the Council's gifts, benefits and hospital policy attachment 9.7.1 be adopted with an amendment that the token gifts reference to $30, anything within section 3.3 that references $30 be amended to $50. All those in favour? Councillor Hall, Councillor Cowan, Councillor Aldridge, Seymour, Quilty, Goebel. All those against? Councillor Knight. Thank you, that's carried. Item 9.8, Councillor Professional Development Policy. Have a recommendation before us. Would someone like to move as recommended? Councillor Cowan as the mover. Seconder to the recommendation. Councillor Seymour. Councillor Cowan, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The recommendation is that the Councillor Professional Development Policy, attachment 9.8.1, be placed on public exhibition for at least 21 days and a report on the public consultation be submitted to a future council meeting. I support the policy, and I also I don't think we can overstate the value of professional development, particularly to a new council and to new councillors. And I think the way we set out is the way we intend to go, and I guess it's evident from my application earlier considered in this meeting that I believe that we can be better councillors, better leaders, better representatives with more opportunities to professional development. And I thoroughly encourage my fellow councillors to look at this as part of your responsibility for being an elected representative, and that professional development really should go hand in hand with your function and your responsibilities. So I commend the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Seymour, did you want to speak to it?
I think Councillor Cowan has done a really good job of summarising and talking to that, so no, thank you.
Thank you. Would any other councillors like to speak to it? Councillor Hall.
The only thing I have with this policy is if one particular councillor spends all of their allocation, that it can be, if there's something that came up that councillor wanted to go to and had run out of their allocation amount, that they can use other councillors' allocation. And I don't have an issue with that, but I do think it should be that, I mean, does it come back to council, or is that with the CEO and the mayor's approval? I believe it should come back up to council for a decision.
So, Councillor Hall, my understanding is that it goes to the Mayor and CEO, but you're suggesting an amendment to the policy reflecting that it comes to council in the event that the expenditure of one council's professional development is outside the threshold of what's been allocated. Thank you. Any other councillor comments? Councillor Cowan.
So the recommendation is that this goes out for public comment at this stage. So if there were to be any amendment, I suggest we would do that when it comes back from that period of exhibition.
Councillor Courty.
Sorry, I would like to seek clarification. I know from prior experience that it's usually a good practice that any amendments are made prior to putting the document up for community consultation, because amendments after consultation will require other community consultation. Any amendments that are not based on community feedback will not be seen by the community. But, you know, if we display the document, receive feedback and make a change that is not part of the feedback, then it sort of breaks the transparency cycle. So if we wanted to make an amendment, it's better to do it before the community consultation.
Thank you, Councillor Courty. Any other councillor comments? So we've got two councillors recommending an amendment to the policy prior to it going out for exhibition. Any other comments?
I'm happy to support a motion as well of amending it before it goes out to public consultation. I agree with Councillor Quilty that we would have to go through the process again if we made any amendments after the changes, unless I'm mistaken, and I'm happy for somebody to correct me.
Councillor Cowan is the mover of the motion. I'm hearing an appetite for an amendment. So as the mover, are you agreeable to an amendment to your proposed motion?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Look, I think that this is fairly operational. I think if we accept that professional development goes hand in hand with our responsibilities, then we should give the delegation to the CEO and the Mayor to make the decisions. I feel that this is onerous and it possibly is a barrier to people putting their hand up for professional development opportunities, and usually they come around in a short time frame, so that potentially this could, stop people from taking up professional development opportunities. So I would like to stay with the motion as it currently stands.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Hall.
I'd just like to foreshadow, if this motion doesn't get up, that I foreshadow another alternative motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Aldridge.
I just want to acknowledge the consideration that I didn't think of before I said I would support the motion, is that often we do need to act fast in applying for these training positions, and it could take a month for something to get around to council, by which case it could be too late.
Thank you very much. I'm going to put, if there are no other councillor comments, I'm going to put the motion to a vote as proposed by Councillor Cowan, as is and as recommended. All those in favour? Councillor Cowan, Councillor Seymour, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Goebel. All those against? Councillor Knight, Councillor Quilty, Councillor Hall. That is carried. Thank you. We now move to item 9.9, the privacy policy. We have a recommendation before us. Would someone like to move as recommended, or potentially an alternative to that recommendation? Councillor Cowan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I have an alternate motion I would like to put to the council, and that is that the privacy policy be deferred pending a review of the privacy provisions relating to community and stakeholder submissions during consultation, and that a report be provided to a future council meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Seconder? Councillor Aldridge? Would you like to speak to that? Councillor Cowan first.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Where it is lawful and practicable, individuals should be allowed to engage anonymously with councils and to have their names withheld from public release. Some of the circumstances in which individuals should be allowed to engage anonymously with councils includes where councils are seeking community feedback on proposed projects or strategies or other consultative processes. However, this is not the concern. The concern is for transparency, where names are provided, and that councillors and staff have mutual understanding and uphold the appropriate and lawful disclosure of this information. And this is a consideration that I'm putting to the council tonight, that is not included in the privacy policy, and I think it is something that we need to consider as a council, given our recent example of submissions to the 2050 vision and the concerns around the transparency of those submissions. Thank you.
Councillor Cowan, thank you very much. Councillor Aldridge is the seconder.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Coming from the private sector, it's very black and white, a privacy policy, and there seems to be a lot of grey at the moment. And I think by deferring this, it would give us an opportunity to be a bit more educated on how the privacy policy works within Wodonga Council, and I can't see how that would be a bad thing.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Any other comments? Councillor Knight.
I do note that it's due for review anyway. Every 2 years. However, as the 2-year review was due during the election period, it was decided to delay the review by 6 months.
Thank you. Councillor Hall.
Yeah, look, as I said before, a lot of policies will be coming up to council because we're a new council and policies have to be updated. I'm with the view that this would need, I believe it should come up for further discussions and information to council. And as Councillor Cohen said, there was some recent issues around disclosure of submitters. And look, it's not been the first time. We've got to make some pretty big decisions at time, and if we can't get that information, what's the point of having councillors? We need to have, sometimes we just need to have that information so we can make an informed decision. One, we're not breaching the Act with a conflict of interest. And two, we have, and three, we have confidential discussions and information provided to us all the time. And this is not about making something public. It's about keeping that information within the council. And I think we should treat it respectfully as to the position that we held, and we should have and should be provided that information.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other comments? Councillor Quilty?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Councillor Cowan and Councillor Hall have made very good points about the issues that we, or not we, but some community members might have had with the disclosure of stakeholders' details. And I think it is a good idea in view of what has happened during 2050 vision and prior to that, as Councillor Hall has referred to. It is a good idea to review the points relevant to the privacy of community members and stakeholders. My question is, how will this review be carried out? How do we propose to do it in-house or get a legal consultant to do the review for us, or what are we doing to review?
I might put that question to the Acting CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Initially, the review will be done internally, but we can also seek legal advice.
Councillor Cordy, any further questions there?
No, thank you.
Any other comments? If not, a right of reply to the mover.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I've said everything that needs to be said for that.
That being the case, if I could now put the alternative motion to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Quilty, Councillor Knight, Councillor Seymour, Councillor Aldridge, Hall and Cowan and Goebel. That's unanimous. Thank you. Moving along to 9.10, internal resolution procedure. Again, we have a recommendation before us. Would someone like to move as per the recommendation? Councillor Knight, coming back into action. A seconder, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Knight, would you like to speak to this at all?
In a minute. That the internal resolution procedure attachment 9.10.2 be adopted. It's still good as far as I've read, so we hopefully never have to use it.
Councillor Cowan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an internal resolution procedure for alleged breaches of the Model Councillor Code of Conduct. It's something we have to have, and it's good practice to have it adopted by council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Any other councillor comments? Councillor Hall?
Yes, this is a requirement of the Local Government Act. So rather than issues be sent to the likes of the local governments, I can't even think of the name, the IBAC and Local Government Inspectorate and even the Minister, it really should go through, and I think the Local Government Act highlights the internal procedure resolution first, which I agree with. I think we should deal with things in-house before it escalates to anything further. And many times, and I think most times, you can deal with those sort of items in-house rather than escalating it to something that's, quite substantial. So I think we have to have a policy, and I think this is what is expected, and I have no issues with this attachment policy with the resolution to be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other councillor comments? Councillor Courtney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Overall, I am happy to support this policy, and it is legislated that we should have it. However, even if it wasn't, I would really support having a policy for internal resolutions of any possible conflicts or misunderstandings within council and amongst councillors. I believe that it is important and productive for us and for the city to be able to resolve any misunderstandings as close to the level when they happened and as close in time to the event. And I believe that it is a good practice to have this document, and it is also a good guide for us should things get heated, or should councillors not know how to behave in one particular situation. It's a good go-to guide. One thing that is not quite clear to me, and perhaps I could have that clarification now, is how binding is this document? We are bound by legislation to have it, but should we go against it? Should we not follow, or one of us, some of us should not follow this policy, then what happens? How binding is it on us? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. And Acting CEO, I'm going to call upon your advice here, given this is an internal resolution procedure as opposed to a policy as such. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll hand over to Officer Scully.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the internal resolution procedure is, I suppose, a first step, very much informal and very much relies on goodwill. If that doesn't exist, then it would move on to a arbitrated process that is more formal. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Thank you, Officer Scully. Are there any other comments? Councillor Knight, would you like a right of reply as the mover?
That is actually on page 6 of the document there, Councillor Quilty, of where it goes. So it actually tells you the whole procedure.
Thank you, Councillor Knight. If there are no other comments, I'm going to put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Councillor Hall, Councillor Quilty, Knight, Seymour, Aldridge, Cowan and Goble. Thank you. That's unanimous. Carried. Leads us now to 9.11, proposed road names for Castle Creek Estate. The recommendation there is before us. Do I have a mover? Slow off the mark tonight, some of us. Councillor Seymour, a seconder. Councillor Knight, would you like to speak to this at all? Councillor Seymour. Councillor Seymour's speaker's not working, so, but has Councillor Knight, would you like to speak as the seconder? Councillor Aldridge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to comment that if people choose to live on some of these streets, I feel like they're going to be constantly spelling them or pronouncing them in ways that might be incorrect. Still trying to work out if it's Sligo or Sligo Court, Leitrim Road, Galway Drive, pretty obvious thanks to Ed Sheeran with his Galway Girl song, but perhaps previously people would have been saying Galway if we hadn't have had that song. So Just a comment more than anything.
Thank you, Councillor Hall.
Yes, as suggested by Councillor Outridge, is comments. They are Irish names, and so I think this was put forward by the developer. In the past, as I've been on a committee for the places naming committee, and I think we go through a pretty went through a pretty thorough process with naming, and it's a shame we don't have that committee anymore. I sort of thought it did some really good work. It is difficult to get people to put their hand up for committees these days, but it is something maybe we still should have a look at going forward. But we're dealing with names in front of us tonight, and I think, you know, really there's no other way forward but to support what's been put forward. So I'll support the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other comments? Councillor Quilty?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to take, can you see me? Hello?
Yes, we can see you. Yes,
yeah,
and hear you.
I suddenly can't see anybody, but I can hear you and hope you can hear me. I would like to take this opportunity to once again complain about having to abandon the place name committee. I never participated in it due to lack of time, but I always thought that it was a great committee and a great opportunity for the community to participate in the work that council does, and to also have the influence on what the various places in our city are named. We had to, in the previous term, had to abandon the committee due to the lack of interest from the participants from the community. Hopefully it will maybe at some stage come back. Some committees are onerous and hard to participate in, but this committee is really nice and lovely, and council pays for some expenses like childcare, for example, for those who can't attend due to family commitments. So it really is a lovely committee, and it really was a pity to not have it anymore. So maybe, but the names, yeah, I don't know. I hope I'll be able to spell and read them correctly. I'll get Councillor Aldridge to train me if I make a mistake.
Councillor Cordy, I
I
thought you
can't
might...
see anybody. I have an empty screen. I'm staring at an empty screen.
Can you hear us, Councillor Cordy?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
I
good.
can hear you, but I can't see anybody.
So, notwithstanding Councillor Aldridge's professional skills, I thought you as a linguist might be able to teach Councillor Aldridge there, but anyway, I noticed Councillor Aldridge had a hand up, but just to keep the thread of the conversation, Councillor Hall, did you want to comment on the committee and maybe whether we bring that up in a briefing for a future paper just regarding the appetite for that committee to be re-established as the previous chair of that committee? Thank you.
Yes, I would actually be interested in raising that at a future briefing between councillors, and seeing what the appetite is for our councillors to engage in a new process with the view of establishing a new committee. It's generally run during the day, and that can be a problem with some people's attendance. We had some really great committee members, some that passed, and they had a lot of knowledge of our history, yeah, it's a shame because they were very valuable in what was decided, and just focusing on, you know, how we put names together, or just the history of people that have been representative with our parks or streets, just the history behind some of these people. So yeah, I think it's of value for the council to have another committee, and I'll bring that up as a further discussion at a council briefing in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. I just want to confirm with Councillor Quilty whether you've regained visuals. I know you can hear us. If that's the case, can I recommend that we adjourn the meeting? Could I have a move, just to the technical issues and the rules under which Councillor Quilty can participate electronically? Could I have a mover that we adjourn? Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Sorry for those online and in the chamber. To those who have persisted with us during our technical difficulties, if we could just have a mover for thank you, Councillor Aldridge, regarding recommencement of the meeting after our technical issues, and welcome Councillor Quilty, who's had to come in due to our technology problems. Where we were before having to adjourn for the technical issues was item 9.11, proposed road names, and we'd been around with councillors providing their opinions and comments on the motion as moved by Councillor Seymour and seconded by Councillor Knight. If there's no other comments on that, could we put that motion to a vote? All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Now on to 9.12, the appointment of an authorised officer, which is required under legislation. Do I have a mover as recommended? Councillor Knight, and seconded by Councillor Hall. I just might put that to a vote, given its legislative requirement. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. That now leads us to reports for noting, of which there are none. Agenda item 11 is reports for information, starting with 11.1, the record of councillor meetings. And I just might go through these one by one. Any comments on 11.1 from anyone? Last calls? No. The decisions register 11.2. Any comments from councillors on 11.2? No. 11.3, council plan half yearly. Any comments on that? Councillor Cowan?
I note that most of the progress is on schedule, except for 2 items that are behind. I do wonder about the process for looking at this report and wonder whether it should be something that council should be adopting, given that it is a report on our council plan. So it's really just a comment, and I will, pursue that for further information into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan, and for future consideration about how that item gets addressed for adoption or for information. Thank you. 11.4, the Audit and Risk Committee. Any questions or comments there? No. Which then also leads us to 11.5, Audit and Risk Committee Annual Report. Again, for information only. Any questions or comments on that? Councillor Cooley, did you have any interest in commenting on that as the chair of that committee at all? Oh, sorry, sorry, not the chair, the committee member, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's an annual report of what has been done by Audit and Risk Committee, and a little bit of information on its members, and a snapshot of the internal audits that we have have been performed. Our internal audits are outsourced, and then the audit reports are considered by Audit and Risk Committee. Committee members also do a bit of a self-assessment on its effectiveness and efficiency and running an effective Audit and Risk Committee. Anyway, lots of information, some pretty pictures. The photos of the Audit and Risk Committee members are old. New photos will be taken in March and probably posted in the next annual report. Also, as I have informed as a councillors, some audit and risk committee independent members will be, some positions will be up for refill next time, because the membership has not us councillors, the membership of external members expires after a certain time, and some of them are only allowed to be re-elected 2 terms and no more, and we have 2 very valuable, highly professional members who have already done 2 terms, so we'll have to advertise for new ones. Anybody who has interest in participating and the requisite skills in participating in audit and risk committee, please be alert. In a few months, positions will be advertised. Other than that, yeah, nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Courty, and thank you for your work on that committee along with Councillor Cowan. Thank you. Agenda item 12 is notices of motion. There are none. Agenda item 13 is general business. There's something I'd like to talk about, which is something that's been well referenced in the media, and that is that both council and community rally on Spring Street regarding the hospital advocacy on the 5th of March. Plans are proceeding well, and hopefully we get many from the community who will be joining us there in what is most likely the most significant advocacy issue for this council and our region, which is our healthcare, getting a new hospital on a new site. Is there any other general business? No. There is no urgent business, which now leads us to confidential business, item 15, recommendation there that the meeting be closed to members of the public in order to consider matters pursuant to section 3, subsection 1 of the Local Government Act 2020, and the meeting be adjourned for 2 minutes to allow the public to leave the chamber. Could I have a mover for that? Thank you, Councillor Aldridge, and a second. Thank you, Councillor Hall. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you. back, everyone. We're now back in the open meeting and we're at agenda item 17, the return to the open council. There's a recommendation there that the ordinary meeting of the council be resumed. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Hall, seconder, Councillor Quilty. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 17.2 is the adoption of the in-camera recommendations. The recommendation that the recommendations of the closed meeting of the council be adopted. Again, could I have a mover for that? Councillor Hall, seconder, Councillor Knight. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Which now leads us to item 17.3, which is the public release of information. Councillor Aldridge, you've agreed to speak to the...
Move a motion that the minutes of the meeting of the CEO Employment and Remuneration Committee held on February 3rd, 2025 be received, and the council determines that the CEO's total remuneration package be increased in accordance with the Victorian Independent Remuneration Tribunal report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Aldridge. Given that was the concluding item of the agenda, if I could declare the meeting closed at 9:05. Thank you, councillors, for all your participation. Thank you, those online and our gallery visitors, for what was a very long but very good meeting. Thank you.